Greetings, dear viewer, and welcome to Purposes Crossed, where I hope that people who are called by Jesus for different purposes cross paths and exchange ideas. We continue with our series of reflections on the Sermon on the Mount, and in this video, we will deal with Matthew chapter 5, verses 25 and 26. In the previous video, we saw that true joy comes from reconciliation. Jesus told us that if there is any cause for estrangement within a relationship, we should attempt to make amends and build bridges. This is the source of true joy. Now, Jesus considers an example that his audience would have related to quite easily, and in all likelihood, so do we. He presents his audience with another common occurrence. Creditors, to force payment of unpaid loans, are hauling someone into court. Jesus, however, does not focus on whether or not the loan was ethical. He does not concentrate on the morality of usury or charging interest, or if the interest rate was unjust or not. Rather, he addresses the aspect of the conflict. He portrays his audience as the debtor who has the law against him or her. The law will insist that the debtor be punished and will imprison the debtor until payment is made. But if we pause a moment, we will realize that Jesus is using hyperbole, for a prisoner is, precisely by virtue of being in prison, unable to work. Hence, to imprison someone until he or she makes payment is a ridiculous way of securing repayment of a loan. However, what Jesus points us to is the inevitability of payment. There is no way to default on the loan, for even imprisonment does not substitute for the debt. The very fact that this illustration is ridiculous from a fiscal standpoint should hint to us that Jesus is not talking about financial debt. Jesus' emphasis is on the initial words, "Come to terms with your opponent in good time." Someone may hold a grudge against us. Jesus does not indicate whether the grudge is justified or not. Indeed, that is quite irrelevant. However, to ignore it is to allow it to foment in the person's mind, allowing it to grow in the person's mind and take on greater significance than it actually deserves. And there is no telling what the person will do then to get even. Moreover, once the person has crossed over to the point where revenge is necessary, there is no way to talk him or her out of it, for then even the smallest offenses would have taken on the hue of an unforgivable sin. The three situations in verses 21 through 26 depict the progression from the offense. When we call our brother fool, to the nursing of the grudge by the brother, to the vengeance of the brother, we must first attempt to control our tongue. Having failed that, we should realize that there is a point of no return prior to which we need to be reconciled, be it when our brother quietly nurses the wound or when he actively seeks recompense for our indiscretion. As always, Jesus places the onus of initiative on his followers, Christians. We are the agents of reconciliation, the makers of peace. So the burden of setting things right falls on our shoulders. We are to be aware that there is a good time for making peace, a window of opportunity in which we can mend that relationship. We are to act within that window, not earlier, for the person may not be ready to be reconciled, and not later, for the person may be past the point of reconciliation.